Alright, hello. Welcome to another epic disruption weapons video. In this video, we're gonna be taking a look at a weapon that we have been suggested into looking quite a bit. And I knew about the weapon's existence and I know what it's capable of doing. And what it's capable of doing is disruption missions very, very well. The weapon in question is the Sepulcrum. So the Sepulcrum has been suggested to me by so many comments. And it makes sense, since the theme of this channel, in general, is multiplicative CO. What better weapon to showcase than a weapon that has a primary and a secondary fire that are both, guess what, multiplicative CO. So what does this mean? This means that on especially secondary weapons, which is even more OP, this galvanized shot mode, the direct damage type per status type affecting the target, multiplies with other sources of damage instead of adding with other sources of damage. The best part about this is that if we go to primary weapon, galvanized attitude only stacks to 2 times, while galvanized shots stacks to 3 times. So any multiplicative CO weapon that is a secondary weapon gets infinitely more damage. So, knowing this, we can easily just make use of the innate hit to proc a status, take use of the IPS damages that the weapon already has, and just go to town with our good old galvanized Hornet Strike setup. When it comes to multiplicative seal weapons, you can easily just add plus damage and the weapon becomes nuts. And if you level up this weapon, because I had to put 7 form on this thing, so before I was able to add any type of base damage, I was like, this thing is not gonna make it. It's not that great. I get it with priming, it's gonna do well, but without priming, it's not that good on its own. And then I added Hornet Strike, and my god, it was a game changer. Not only just to stack the gun easily, but after the stacking, the gun was also so much better. So, we're gonna go to our good old Kappa, but we're also gonna see that, we don't really need anything for this. Also, the Wisp buffs will be a bit crazier this time because I got an invigoration for Wisp this week that gives me 200% strength and 1000 health. We reached like 12,000 health doing solo with Chroma's warding, not warding halo, elemental ward, yeah. So with elemental ward, we reached more HP than in ours using this. It was quite fun, not gonna lie. It is quite fun to do that. However, this video is not about that. Not at all. But yes, if you're curious why my stats are so big, that is why. Normally they're still pretty big, not as big. So, you see, the weapon itself, you get kills and then you stack, and then after you stack, I'll show what it does, but I'll tell a bit. So you press it and then it marks enemies, just like you would do with a Tenant Diplos or Ashes 4, and then you shoot, and it just homes all the projectiles onto the targets that you mark. In general, this is actually like way more useful than any other of the homing passives that I've seen. Like all the other homing passives generally deal mediocre damage. This one actually deals good damage. Like this is no eclipse, no buff ups or anything. And you can see that it easily half HPs the target. So adding any buff up whatsoever easily kills the target suddenly. So this is really good. And as you see from damage wise, we're one-shotting heavy gunners, minimal effort. So we're gonna show what it does to normal enemies. So that's just the demo. No extra damage buff, nothing, just, normally playing. Secondary fire on the demos I wouldn't really suggest, because yes, it does more damage, but at the same time, it's a demo. We kind of want to use the primary fire on them. But what I can use now is show you the damage of this gun with Eclipse. So now that Eclipse is up and running, we can get our deadhead sacks. Yippee. And let's see. So there he is. One shot did that much. And this weapon shoots like this, by the way. It's not that slow to shoot. You can also see now what I mean with any kind of damage buff. We added Eclipse, and yeah, these enemies just straight up disappear. And you may say, oh my god, it's 200% Eclipse, that's like so much for Subsume Warframe. Yes, but like, they can just use another Subsume ability like Zada's Whisper, you know? That is also multiplying on the multiplicative CO and on any kind of Bane mode you may add to the build instead of Hornet Strike that I am adding. Generally, you have a lot of variety, and you can make some really crazy shits with this. So, once again, this guy, no kind of buffs, just the gun itself doing it. So, we have an Ox, and he just gone just like that. So you see, it's like it's super fast in killing, even without any kind of priming, because the status chance is enough for you to proc corrosive and heat, and then maybe impact some other statuses that just increase your multiplicative CO damage by 120% again. Any 120% damage increase that you get is infinitely better. You're getting so much value from one status effect on this weapon. It really is just crazy. The big downside from this weapon is the reload. You see, it has a very lengthy reload, just like the Chamna. I don't really mind it, especially when it deals that much, because it really deals that much. Like, it really deals a lot of damage. But in general, you know, it is something I would recommend going for. I know it's a bit hard to get this weapon. Like, to get this weapon, you need to get a Seriglass Art, and Seriglass Arts are a pain in the ass to get. 20 grandmother tokens, you need a lot of farming, but in general, it's probably worth it. This is good. This is a very good weapon. If you want a disruption secondary weapon, this is an insane one. Especially if you're early game and you cannot get the Basta encounter, because that's obviously the best secondary, not even secondary, it's the best disruption weapon in the entire game. So you could easily just go for something like the Sepulcrum. We're gonna go again, but this time we're gonna take our funny primer, the Booba Nico. We have the build here that kind of removes any kind of damage that we may deal, except for this, just to force cold procs, and then just armor strips the target as much as possible. So that is kind of the idea behind it, really. And you may say, okay, why not heat? Because, you know, cold is just way more efficient on priming than heat. So this will give us viral corrosive cold, and that is absolutely fantastic for a weapon that already deals this much damage. You could use Seru, you could use Kuvakom, you could use way more weapons, but my choice is always the Bombonico for its ease of use when it comes to priming. Melee weapons may become viable primers soon as well. Seemingly, with the new arcanes, we can get some, like, maybe 100 blades to work. Generally, stances that lift enemies a lot and CC enemies, it just, you know, they do good. They will do good work of that arcane. They will love that arcane. Now we have one stack, and immediately our damage skyrockets, because the stack gives us multiplicative damage. So yeah, this is kind of what multiplicative CO looks like, and you're gonna see some really funny numbers now that we're actually using a primer and not just using the gun. I'll try to one-shot him with secondary fire. I'm curious if I can do that. Alright, that's hella damage. Yeah, we did one-shot him. Just the rest of the bullets went in a bit late, but in general it was a one shot. So yeah, when you're priming the target, you can one shot base steel pad demo with a secondary fire. So that is very funny. Also, you guys were into the stream like 2 days ago, but I actually managed to get a Stug, uh, Demolisher one shot, base steel path demo one shot. That was without any kind of damage buff, by the way. Zero damage buffs. That was just the gun. And if that's not enough to prove what multiplicative CO is and how broken it is, then I don't know. This weapon doesn't have a lot of damage stats. If we check the stats for the Sepulcrum, it doesn't have that big of a stat when it comes to damage. But because of the multiplicative CO, it gets the value it gets and the amount of damage it can reach. From multiplicative CO stacking with viral and stacking with like every other damage type percentage and all that. It's just ridiculous. It really is. So this poor Nox. That was like how much damage? We saw like 228 million per shot, but then each shot has like 4 multi-shot, and then you shoot 2 bullets at the same time. Mosquito killed. Let's go. Okay. Yeah. As I was saying, this weapon is it's really funny. But it's a prime example of how important checking that paste bin that I have is. And I'll leave it in the description of this video as well. So you guys can see what guns are multiplicative and what guns aren't. To make it a bit less confusing, in general, bows are not multiplicative except there is like a special condition. And any hitscan weapon is also not multiplicative. So these are outliers you can immediately remove. So yes, this is probably level cap viable because of multiplicative seal. Because you have to imagine that I'm only using Bubonico, which uses 3 status effects. And 3 status effects aren't just enough. They are overkill. They're literally overkill. 3 status are quite overkill for this weapon, so if you have a way to spread status a lot more through, I don't know, Varuna, through some other means, then this weapon can easily one-shot like level cap. So here it is. As I told you, the damage is not that high. We have 1400 plus 1300, that's like 1800 if we add up the 50s, right? So the 2800, my bad. So 2800 damage, and it has a 2 burst. If we go to the Lex Prime has 7500 damage, but Lex Prime is additive. So the primary fire of the Lex Prime doesn't deal as much damage as the Sepulcrum, even though its damage is like 3 or 4 times higher. Is that crazy how big of a difference that makes? And seeing the Sepulcrum and knowing how Tramna works, I thought the Sepulcrum was going to be additive seal because I thought it's hitscan. The Tramna, the primary fire is hitscan. It's literally hitscan. It has 0 travel time, so it is additive seal. Secondary fire, however, is multiplicative and it does a lot of damage, so we're taking advantage of that, and that's why there is serration and galvanized aptitude in the build. I kind of want to get both best of both worlds when it comes to Tramna. Get both the primary and the secondary fire. But yeah, you have to imagine that Sepulcrum just, crazy, 120% multiplicative seal. This is the Riven, in case we missed it at the start. And in general, I could go for a way better roll. Like, imagine if this was crit damage, this would have been easily the most gold roll I can get. But, I mean, I don't really need it. The weapon is just super strong. And you see like 14,500, 2,900, and then you go to the Diplos that have the same mechanic, and it's like nothing. There is nothing. It's just you fire 2 shots to each, so they get 2,800 damage in total. The Sepulcrum fire is how many shots even? Wait, does it say? Where is it? Five enemies were fired. Yeah, how many explosive projectiles? It doesn't say how many, but yes, you have to understand that like this is what kind of we needed with this. When you are building some homing missile weapon that is dealing damage, you need it to actually deal damage. The ton of Diplos deals 0, and I really hope I can see a rework on it. But for the Sepulcrum for now, yeah, I mean that's it. You can make this build better if you have Expel Grenier. You can like put it here and just replace that. But in general, I am happy with where I'm at right now. I am happy with this build. I think this weapon is absolutely insane, and I will probably use it a lot more, especially that secondary fire. It's also really fun because of the secondary fire. I wanted to get it for a while, but you know, grandmother and her 20 coins for this Eric Glassard. Unlucky. Anyways, that is the Sepulcrum. This is the second last video for this series. The next video that is going to be about a melee weapon will be the last, and then the whole series of epic disruption weapons will be on its own separate playlist, so you guys can rewatch it whenever you want. Choose some of the weapons, see, compare like weapons with weapons and all of that. And in general, it's going to be way more fun seeing it from a playlist. Maybe you want to listen to it on the background. There is a lot of potential. So, once again, I thank you very much for watching. The support has been incredible for the past, like, what is it, 6 months now? But yeah, I'll have Discord, Twitch links below in the description, and I'll see you on the next one.